Welcome back into the Midtown Madness podcast with Peter Hale and Zach Miller. I am Zach Miller. I'm joined by Peter Hale. Pete, we have massive news that will be coming out the day we drop this episode, Tuesday, September 21st. This is news that we've been waiting on for a long time, and it's not a recruiting news. It's not even bad. It's tangentially related to basketball.
It doesn't make it any less exciting, though, especially for you, maybe who's been banging the drum more loudly than anyone else in all of SLU fandom for some nicer apparel.
Yeah, and as you know, to expand on that, I'm not sure there's a person more picky about his Billiken gear than myself, and I know you're pretty picky about what you wear that's logoed. As far as you always are looking for stuff that's a little more adult looking, a little more I'll wear a jersey. I'm wearing the throwback jersey for a reason today. Homefield Apparel will be dropping their Billiken line on Wednesday, September 22nd. That'll be tomorrow when you're listening to this, and they should be teasing it out today. And we have a promo code for you guys. Midtown Madness is the promo code at Homefield Apparel. Is it homefieldapparel.com or is it just homefield.com?
It's homefieldapparel.com.
It is a homefieldapparel.com. I apologize to our people over there at Homefield for not getting that one right off the bat. Man, I'm super excited. We got a little sneak peek. We cannot disclose what we've seen, but we've seen the glory of the coming of the Lord, I believe. These shirts are gorgeous.
Yeah, I think if you're a person who appreciates Billiken history and you like a little vintage look, you like a little throwback logo, these are going to be right up your alley. We've seen about 4, and I think they're going to release more like 10. So, get ready. Save up your money if you've got to. There's some really cool stuff coming down the pike.
Yeah. I mean, look, again, I said that I'm picky about my Billiken apparel. I would not be coming to you right now and telling you to go to homefieldapparel.com, use Midtown Madness promo code, and buy this stuff if I truly did not believe in what it looked like and the quality of the merchandise, because that is my passion. Peter's passion with Billiken athletics really centers around recruiting. Mine, not only, I love the products on the field and the court, but I love the products in the store as well. That's really where my deep-seated passion lies. Look, Homefield did the legwork on this. They dug through the archives and the history of St. Louis University to find all the great old Billiken logos that we know and love. I mean, you got, the seated Billiken. That's a great old logo. I have that tattooed on me. I love that logo. There's a lot of them. I can't really get into it too much because they don't want us to until they release it. But look, there's 10 pieces that are coming out to this collection. There's going to be t-shirts, hoodies, crew necks. This is all vintage stuff that you will not find anywhere else. Ever since Homefield showed up on the scene for college merchandise and brought out their Tulane Green Wave stuff, I think Tulane might have the best collection so far, and hopefully the Billiken will surpass how cool Tulane is.
Yeah, theirs is great. I love my brother-in-law actually has some of their stuff because he went to OU, Ohio University, the real OU, go Bobcats. And he's had it for a long time. Yeah, that's right. I actually asked him where, what it was all about. And he told me about it. And I've been kind of hoping for the 2 years since then that they would come up with some SLU stuff, and finally they're making it happen. The other thing I really like about it, it does have a really nice feel to it. It's not like the giveaway shirt that can be a little stiff, a little coarse. It's really soft, feels good, looks good, fits really well. I think people are really going to dig it.
Yeah, if you saw the video I tweeted out, the classic video of me trying the Billiken batch cookie dough, that shirt is what is kind of the idea of what you're going to get. That very soft, very flowy fabric, not necessarily stiff, like Peter said, but that's coming out Wednesday. Enough to belabor the point. 15% off your first purchase at homefieldapparel.com with our promo code Midtown Madness, and you will not regret. This will be your game day shirt. This is going to be my everyday shirt because I'm going to buy every piece, and I'll probably sleep in it and work out in it. And it's a do everything shirt. It's super comfortable, super soft, and I'm super excited. Pete, you ready?
Yeah, I can't wait. I think I'm going to do the same thing. Just get one of each. I've got a lot of stuff dating back to when I was at SLU, which means it's at least 15 years old. And I've got to get some of these dusty old T-shirts replaced, and I can't wait. I'm just going to overhaul my whole SLU collection right now.
Yeah, just when everybody sees each other at Billiken games with the shirt on, it'll be like, "Hey, I know, hey, that's shirt, Homefield." So I'm really excited. Wednesday, we're going to do another episode, probably releasing Thursday. Or actually, we'll release an episode probably Friday. And we will do a complete review of all the designs once they're released. And again, we'll reiterate the promo code in that episode. So get excited about that. That's going to be fun for me and Peter just to go back and forth. It'll be like a 30-minute, nothing crazy. Just talk about what's going on. We got some real news though, with the men's basketball team. We actually did not mean to delay the podcast for this. The podcast we delayed for the Homefield launch, but it worked out anyway. The Billikens got a commitment, Pete.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. This commitment, his name's Sincere Parker, and he's listed at, depending on where you look, 6'3", 6'4". Based on video, I tend to think he's about 6'4". He's got good length, but he's a guard, a scoring guard, really, a pure 2 out of Moberly Area Community College, which is about a half hour north of Columbia, so a couple hours west of St. Louis. He's a really athletic player, good scorer. He's got great range on a shot, a quick release. He's a guy who's comfortable shooting off the dribble. He scored almost 16 points a game as a freshman, chipped in about 5 rebounds and 1 assist. 1 assist meaning he's not a point guard. And then he was over 40% from 3, over 82% from the free throw line. So he can really shoot it. He can really heat up. Pretty exciting player. And then, I haven't found many JUCO rankings yet for the upcoming season. It's still a little early, but I did find one set that has him ranked number 16 of all sophomore JUCO prospects in the whole country. So he's certainly one of the nation's JUCO prospects to watch, and it's exciting to get him lined up this early.
Sean West had the scoop on this one. He really hyped it up on his post on Billikens.com as a big time get. It's kind of it's an interesting get. Not much buzz surrounding him, and also we're already going to be guard wing heavy going, and then we add this, Sincere Parker. What are you seeing with the roster movement and the building of this roster with all these shooters and wings?
Yeah. So we've got Kramer and Thames coming in, who are both wings themselves. Kramer, you're probably looking at a pretty pure 2 guard right there. Thames maybe projects more as a 3 as time goes on, depending, how tall he gets or whatever. But yeah, we're loading up on the wing already. The first kind of thought I had there is, man, we've got a lot of depth. We've got kind of a logjam at that position. But then when you think about it, you've got Javante Perkins and DeAndre Jones, both of whom are going to be 5th-year seniors, both guards. And those are guys, as much as I like Kramer and Thames, they can't come in and replace 10 collective years of experience right off the bat. So here's a guy with at least some collegiate level, even though it's a lower division or, junior college. He's got experience in the college game. He's somebody who we know can score in a variety of ways. So maybe he's a little more instant offense and ready a little bit more quickly than some of the other guys.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing that I think we've talked about a lot is how much emphasis Travis Ford has been putting on guys who can shoot the three. And I believe we talked to him a little bit about that. Do you like this transition to a guard heavy, shooting heavy offense, or did you prefer kind of that bully ball?
I wouldn't say I preferred it. I mean, when you've got a team that's built around Hassan French and Jordan Goodwin, you don't really have a choice. Those are not finesse players. They're not shooters. They're not guys who necessarily stretch defenses. So that's just kind of the way we had to build, because those were our two key players. With them gone, it certainly frees him up to do something different offensively. And there's no shortage of shooting at this point. In addition to Perkins and Jones, kind of the other factor here is Williams, Rashad Williams. We still don't know 100% whether he's going to be cleared for this season. A lot of other waivers have gone through. I don't know why his is at the back of the line. But I guess he's listed as a junior on the roster. I'm not 100% sure that the COVID year is going to be given to 2-year transfers. That's something I need to look up though. So he may very well have 2 years left. But if he doesn't, that's a third guard who's probably going to be a contributor this season, who we'd be losing, or at least at the very most that we'd have for one more season. So that's another factor there. But yeah, still a lot of depth out there, a lot of shooting, and I think we're going to be better offensively. We're not going to be the defensive or rebounding team that we were. But we have the ability to go with a lot of looks offensively for sure.
Yeah, it blows my mind that Williams has not gotten the waiver yet, or at least anything's been announced. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're holding that close to the vest or what's going on.
Usually, I think they would probably tell us.
Yes.
They've got no reason to sit on that.
Yeah, and usually you'd have a Rothstein scoop.
Right.
He would announce that. Speaking of Rothstein, there was some high praise for our non-conference schedule. In one of Rothstein's latest blog posts, he released 10 mid-majors to watch. Belmont, UAB, and Drake made his list. What do you think of Rothstein high on Belmont, UAB, and Drake?
I always cringe I still cringe when I see the mid-major term. I mean, first I was worried that we were going to be on the list being called a mid-major. I don't know how you feel about the term itself.
I don't like it. I hate it. I think it's stupid. I thought for sure we were going to be on the list when I saw that. Yeah. BK retweeted it. I was like, no. But then I remembered Rothstein, the Rothsteinism that the A10 is not mid-major.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's been pretty consistent on that, which is good, which I like. I just don't like it. It's a term that everybody uses and nobody has defined. And the people who do seem to try to define it all don't seem to agree on what it means. So anyway, I don't like it. But regardless, since we're playing 3 of these teams, it's what we said about our schedule when we were kind of breaking it down. It's not just that we're playing Memphis and Auburn and teams like that. It's that next level down. We're not filling up a schedule with a lot of 250 plus net ranking teams that we can beat by 40. That's not what we're doing here. We're playing a lot of teams that are, quite frankly, peers, who we're going to be kind of maybe fighting on the bubble, maybe definitely maybe some of these teams are going to be fringe top 25 teams. I look at Belmont and I think that's kind of quietly one of the best teams in the country, going 26-4 last year, scoring over 80 points a game. They return everybody. And, they've got Casey Alexander, their head coach, who's been like just a seamless transition. He played there. He was an assistant coach there before, going to another program and then coming back as head coach. And they play so well together. They're so experienced. I think when all is said and done, if Belmont winds up being the team on our schedule that winds up making a deep run in March, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. I think they could very well end up being the best team.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I love Belmont. They never have a super down year. They're always extremely consistent to wildly above average. And I love I guess the equivalent of like a big name team would be like a Belmont or a Drake that has that'll end up high on the net rankings.
Yes.
Like they do the work in the numbers, not so much the brand.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And then at the end of the year, you look at it and you're like, oh, they were number 31. How did that happen? But Belmont kind of got screwed last year by the whole scheduling shuffle that happened right before the season. And they wound up not having a very strong non-conference schedule. They mowed through their own conference and wound up losing in the OVC tournament, unfortunately. But until then, they were pretty great. And then you have Drake, who last year, again, didn't play the toughest schedule, but they won their first 18 games and kind of became a national darling in the process. They did lose one of their key guards to transfer to KU. But again, they bring everybody back. And I think when Coach Ford was on, he called them the oldest team in the country. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to Google. But if it's not 100% accurate, they're close to it. Like Belmont, a very experienced team, bringing almost everybody back. A couple of nice freshmen coming in. So, and we're playing them on a neutral court too. So it's kind of a really dangerous game there.
Yeah, I'm excited for that Vegas game. I wish I still am to be determined if I will make that. We'll see how that goes. We have a new segment on the podcast, Beating a Dead Horse. And in this segment, we will talk about Ben Frederickson bringing the SLU Mizzou discussion back to the table.
I don't know how much of it was him bringing it back or him just sort of responding to someone on Twitter and then SLU fans kind of running with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like something that he
don't stir us up now. Don't stir us up.
He didn't put it at like the top of his list of things to talk about. He didn't write an op-ed about it or anything like that. The gist of it is basically someone said, it's because Mizzou played SEMO in football, and someone's like, oh, cool, they play SEMO in football, but they keep ducking SLU in basketball, something along those lines. And his reply was, I wouldn't compare SLU hoops to SEMO football. SEMO got $550,000 for this game. Also, Mizzou was willing to play a 2-for-1, 2 games in Columbia, 1 in St. Louis, and it didn't get done. Fighting about that offer is fine, but the point remains the games could have happened. Everything else is semantics. How does that make you feel?
I continue to, I disagree with arguing anything else is just semantics. Well, okay, let me put it this way. I'm not going to argue for it, but I'm going to tell you that a 2-for-1 game is an insult straight up. And I will say that to what Ben Fred is doing that is like a backhand at Billiken fans and Billiken athletics is he's putting the onus on the Billikens. When the offer, he knows the offer's bullshit.
Right.
Like he knows a 2-for-1 is basically a way of Mizzou being like, here, 2-for-1 or nothing. So, okay, we're not going to play you because they know we're not going to accept it. So by offering 2-for-1 and just saying, look, we offered him 2-for-1, lowly St. Louis University, little sisters of the poor down there in St. Louis. It's insulting.
So the last time we played Mizzou was, I believe it was 2001, 20 years ago. Yeah, that's right. The Stokes shot. It was my freshman year. And that was game 3 of a 3-game series where we played the first one. It was I think we played the first one down at their place, that when they were playing in the Hearn Center. The second one was in the Dome downtown. And then the third one was at Scottrade, which was our home court at the time. All 3 of those games were awesome games. They were like, they all came down to the wire. The last one, Mizzou, was number 2 in the country at the time and needed that game winner from Stokes, who was like 1 of 13 from the field before that shot because Josh Fisher was doing the number on him. It was a great series. Their place was sold out. Our 20,000 seats sold out in downtown St. Louis. And I can say from experience within the program that every year we called them up, we left a date open for them until the last possible day that we could before we had to fill it. And they refused every year. We said, let's get this going again. We'll do the 3 games. We'll do the neutral court. We can start a home and home at your place, whatever you want to do. And they wouldn't do it. And that was back. I don't think they even offered a 2-for-1 then. They were just like, no, we're not doing it anymore. And that was that. And that was basically in the entirety of Coach Soderberg's run. I don't know how it was after that. I don't know if Majerus or Cruz or any of those. I don't think Majerus cared. So I'm not sure if they tried after that, but they truly were ducking us at that point, because our sales pitch to them was like, we just had 3 great games in front of like huge crowds. There's no reason not to do this game every year. It's great for everybody. So yes, a 2-for-1 is an insult. They're not Duke. We're not SEMO. No offense to SEMO, but it's just reality. So yeah, everybody knows that's an insult. I agree that it's not the same as the SEMO football thing, because that is truly 100%. A ball game. It's not necessarily a great comparison by the person who originally tweeted that, but Mizzou can throw out their terrible offer and say, hey, they didn't want our offer, so we're not ducking them, but we all know what it is.
And I think we have to come back to our interview with Travis Ford. First of all, that interview was so informative and such a deep dive into the scheduling that, he's pointed out how difficult and how much of a bit of a cat and mouse game scheduling is when you're not talking about trying to bring in the state school to play the private school in the state.
Yeah, so much gamesmanship. It was fun to hear him kind of talk about that, about how you might not always be 100% honest with the person on the other end of the line, and maybe you do give them kind of a bad offer to see if they'll take it. But yeah, it's a lot of gamesmanship, and I would like to see Mizzou get over that. If they don't, they don't. Both programs have been up and down since the last time we've played. But it's not like they have become a consistently elite program since then that has the standing to sort of to treat a program like ours that's certainly respectable, not a powerhouse, but respectable. They don't really have the standing to treat us. It's disappointing.
Right. And you know what? It's disappointing, but at this point, I'm just gonna let them be and do what they want to do.
Yeah, look, they're not playing us, but we're playing a better SEC program this year. Yes. It's like Auburn's a better game than Mizzou this year. So like, I honestly, if I'm building a tournament profile, which is what we're trying to do, I'd rather have Auburn. So that it's my heart isn't broken right now about it.
Yeah. Some tangentially related SLU news before we get to our last little note of basketball note anyway. The Blues, St. Louis Blues hockey, announced they will require proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test for entry. We'll probably see the same from SLU. The Blues are planning for full houses. Obviously, it's a little different with hockey, the glass surrounding the playing field or ice, whatever you want to say. I think we can expect the same from SLU.
Yeah, it's just probably the way it's going to be. If we know if that's what the Blues are doing, and if we know one thing about SLU, as an institution, it's not the kind of place that takes chances. And then they're also dealing with, whatever the city protocols are, all the big sports teams play in the city, and got to play by their rules. So, yep, just something to be prepared for this season.
It'll be interesting to see what a lot of these pro teams do outside of St. Louis, because it's so different everywhere. Every city, every state has different mandates and different protocols. So I'll be interested to see. I just really, and I'm not making a statement other than I hate to watch athletes who have worked their entire life, worked their asses off, have to play a game in masks. It stinks that they would have to do it. And I hope to God we're not at a point where that's the case for basketball. But we'll see. I like to think that our listeners and Billiken fans everywhere are like one big producer of our show, Pete. And so because they obviously helped us get Travis Ford. They've tweeted it at people to come on the show. They've made waves with the athletic department, or as far as merchandising goes now. So they have really exercised their power. And we're working on Larry Hughes. We have been DMing with Larry Hughes. We haven't heard from him in a few days. I'm sure he's a busy dude. So, but we are working on it. We're trying to get some time in mid-October. I just got to work out time-wise, but I'm pretty confident as long as he gets back to us that we'll be able to work it out. We usually are.
Yeah, this would be if you ask me like who's maybe the number one Billiken you would want to talk to, it's probably Larry. Let's just be honest. There's never been a more exciting player in my lifetime. Plenty of players have had longer and better careers at SLU, but that was one electrifying season, and I have a million questions for him. I'd love to have him on the show, and we've heard him on the Wizards podcast talking to Jordan Goodwin and stuff, and so we know he's good on the mic and seems to be at a good, interesting point in life to talk to him.
Yeah, it would be so great to hear kind of. It's a story that starts back in high school, and the tragedy with his brother, and the staying home to be around his brother and his mother, his family, and then leaving early. How tough was that decision, and then being the journeyman in the NBA, as much as that can be used as a slight against a player, it's great for us. We get all kinds of stories from all kinds of different, teams and cities. So all of it would lead to just a phenomenal interview. So keep tweeting at him. And we'll get him on. We'll do our best. So thank you guys again for making that connection and vouching for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, very much. If you could just give him a little nudge, we feel like we're close. Let's make it happen.
Pete, before we get into the Olympic sports, so to speak, or the non-rev sports, I want to go back to Homefield Apparel, and the passion and love that Billiken fans have for St. Louis University is pretty awesome. We're small but mighty, and Homefield has put in a level of energy and effort and work into these designs. This 10-piece collection, it's going to include t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, all vintage designs that you won't see anywhere else. They're super soft, super comfortable. Wear them around the house, wear them to the game. But when you go to homefieldapparel.com, use our promo code Midtown Madness at checkout, and you're going to get 15% off your first order from Homefield Apparel. That's homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Midtown Madness for 15% off your order. Men's soccer. Um, Two very interesting results for the Billiken men. Last time we talked, the Billikens were heading into the big time bronze boot match. And speaking of soccer, I want to discuss your like Ted Lasso meets Coach Beard look you have going on there. Like the top half is Ted Lasso and the bottom half is Coach Beard.
I wish I had Jason Sudeikis' hairline. I'm afraid mine goes up about an inch higher than his, though. And, my kids are not helping keep hair in my head necessarily. I feel like I lose more every day. But yeah, I think I do have I do have the beard going. I've left that alone for a few weeks. Definitely inspired by the show, I guess, though.
So back to the American soccer. A 1-1 draw against SIUE in the bronze boot game. Billikens retain the boot with a draw. Seth Anderson got the Billikens on the board in the 10th minute from Simon Betcher. It was almost a carbon copy of his first goal of the season versus Memphis. He kind of got the ball off a turnover, turned his defender and went to goal, kind of pretty much undefended and slid it under the keeper. Unfortunately for the Billikens, the SIUE attack was a little too much. The late pressure led to an 81st minute Pallison goal. Billikens sat back with a lead, and this goal was coming the whole time. Pete, this is kind of a disappointing result again after leading and controlling play for most of the game.
They really needed that second goal. There were so many times in the first half where I thought they had it. Some great opportunities. I want to say it was Leith who slid it like all the way across the goal line, and we just couldn't get anybody there in time. That was kind of in the middle of the first half. A couple other really, really nice chances that I thought were going to be that second goal. But yeah, when they we've seen this before with that UIC game, when they've got a 1-goal lead, they do wind up getting, it's not complacency. They just get a little conservative. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem to suit their style. When you play such an attacking pressing style, go up with a lead and then completely, ditch the system that seems to be the one that you're built around. It does leave them vulnerable. So it was disappointing. SIUE, you played really well, honestly, down the stretch, but, we were definitely playing a style that was going to make them look good at the same time.
Yeah, I almost would rather, when the Billikens are up 1-0, give up an equalizer going for that kill shot, going for that second goal, that brace that kind of puts the game away.
I agree. I think the best, they kind of have played at times with a swagger this year, and they'll wind up with a couple goals and a half when they do that. I really do believe they got to stick with that style, especially if they feel like they can get a second one. It's one thing if you've played to a scoreless draw and you're in like the 75th minute or something like that. But when you've got an early lead against a team that you're probably supposed to beat, like go get a second one. Mm-hmm. I agree completely.
Well, the Billikens showed their mettle a couple nights ago against UMass, or a couple days ago, against UMass, a 3-2 win. And I said on Twitter, this is a character win. And I firmly believe that anytime you go, we'll tell you how it happened. UMass gets on the board in the 44th minute. James McPherson scores. This game was not broadcast on ESPN Plus. Thanks a lot, UMass. Chris Brook ties the game in the 45th minute just before halftime. Unfortunately, the Billikens conceded in the 79th minute. It was Filippo Begliardi Ghidini. I think I got that one right. Nailed it. He scores and gives them a 2-1 lead. And I think at this point, you and I both we probably threw out an UGG.
Yeah.
Big time scaries on that one. But Kip Keller with an absolute missile equalizes in the 83rd minute. And then, not to be outdone, Simon Betcher off a cross Uh, uh, Again, just like the first goal against Memphis, it's almost a carbon copy. Billiken's win 3-2. How big is it to win when a team goes down 2-1 with 11 minutes to play and comes back?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best in that tweet, and just now is it's a character win to be the team that's probably supposed to win a game, go on the road, get really tested, and have to come from behind to pull it out. Unfortunately, yeah, this was not one we could watch live, but I got to go back to that Kip Keller goal because we did get that highlight. Somebody on the sideline had a camera going. And you saw nothing but white shirts on both sides of him, between him and the net. And he just let go of a rocket and, put it in the left side of the net. And I think he just caught them off guard. It was one of those, he took it outside the box and they were flat footed. They did not look like red. They're, all looking over their shoulders, trying to see what his options were. And he just let it rip. It was beautiful to see. And it was also the best part of that highlight was watching the UMass guys all in their white shirts, just their body language, completely stiff up and down, and then shoulders drooped, like completely like, oh, we blew that one. It was great. It was great to see.
Yeah, it was a bit of a snapper. Like he just kind of snapped his leg at it, kind of put some backspin on it, kept it low. And the keeper never had a chance.
Yeah, he placed it perfectly. He kind of threaded the defense too. I mean, even when you watch the highlight, knowing that a goal's coming, it doesn't look like he's going to take it. And then he does. It's a really unusual, but really cool shot.
The Billikens were scheduled to play tomorrow night, which would be tonight when you're listening to it. The game against Central Arkansas has been postponed due to COVID protocols within the Central Arkansas program. No word on when that game will be made up. Disappointing. I gotta tell you, speaking of disappointing, I was disappointed I didn't make it down to the SIUE game. I was on my way down there, got the word that it was going to be pushed back. Just decided to go back home, and it's about 45 minutes for me to get there. They announced that it was going to be a half hour, and I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So I missed out on the bronze boot. That was upsetting, but just as upsetting and a bit discouraging is the Central Arkansas game being postponed. Next game on the schedule, though, 9/25. It'll be versus George Mason at home. They come in with a 1-4-1 record, 0-1 in conference. It'll be the homecoming game. We have a homecoming game again, Peter.
Yeah, that's that really was always a really well attended game when when I was there, and it seems to be one of those traditions that the students really get up for. Obviously there's always been some, recently bad blood with George Mason after that rain game.
Yeah, women on the women's side, yes.
Yeah. So the two programs, we definitely, there's a little something there. If you want to find a reason for it. George Mason is not the best team in our conference by any means. We know UMass is pretty good. Fordham, VCU, Davidson, and even Dayton are all really solid this year. But this is a game we should definitely win. I do want to go back to the Central Arkansas game real quick, though, because Central Arkansas is actually really good. That's a team that we want to read. I think they're like 6-1 right now, and they've played a pretty solid schedule. So even though that's one of those teams that, like, as basketball fans, we see that name and don't think a whole lot of it, they're a really good soccer program. So I really hope that we can get that rescheduled.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and they seem to be a team that comes in every year and gives us a pretty decent game as well.
Right.
George Mason, this season, like I said, 1-4-1, 0-1 in conference. That one on the end was a 1-1 draw at number 11 Penn State. And stop me if you've heard this about a George Mason game before. The game was stopped in the 85th minute for inclement weather, reminiscent of the women's soccer 1-1 shortened tie, the only non-win in the last 4 years for the women's soccer program in the A10.
Yeah, and then they've got the 2-0 loss in Maryland. So they've played some good teams pretty closely, but their record, they're probably better than their record, but this is definitely a game SLU should win.
Yeah, it seems as though A10 programs really do schedule well, and we'll get into it more on the on the women's soccer side. Excuse me. Women's soccer competed in the women's version of the Arch Baron Cup over the weekend, and they pulled out by the skin of their teeth a 1-0 win over the Dayton Flyers. Abby Miller converts a PK in the 80th minute off a Dayton handball, and the Billikens escape with another A10 win.
Yeah, it's one of those games where I know we've mentioned this like a lot with women's soccer, but this is a team they played 4 times last season. It was a team, Dayton played SLU closely all 4 games, even though, SLU's probably the better team. This is just the team that Dayton cannot beat. This has to haunt them, because if you're an A10 women's team this year and you're looking at SLU, who gave themselves this really challenging schedule, trying to go out and make a statement, obviously the non-conference slate did not go as planned. They're licking their chops thinking they're, SLU's vulnerable. This is finally the year that we can beat them, because SLU's done nothing but beat every team in the conference for 3 years. So it's got to be heartbreaking for Dayton. But I think the lesson here is, even though you get a little lucky with a handball in the box and a PK, which Abby Miller buried perfectly, by the way. If you keep getting the ball in the box, if you keep giving yourself corner kicks, and you're giving yourselves opportunities, it's gonna, at some point, a little luck's gonna go your way. Luck was not going their way in the first half when they hit the crossbar, hit the post. So certainly they had their chances, and finally within the 80th minute got it done.
Pretty unbelievable how many times we've seen the ball hit the post for the Billiken women.
I don't know if any of them actually keep that stat, but we have to be leading the conference, if not the nation, in it this year.
Yeah, it's absurd. I don't even know. I don't know what more I can say about it, because it's just that ridiculous that they continue to be snake bitten on the offensive end, in the run of play, at least.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely still lacking that finishing touch. And it's something I hope they find soon. The A10 is not a strong conference. Dayton is probably one of the best teams that they're going to see. It's good to have that one over with early, and hopefully that's a nice confidence builder going into the rest of the season, and they can build some momentum, because now what this shows, hey, look, we can beat the best other teams in the A10. Here, the door is still open for an NCAA tournament entry. We just got to put ourselves in position with a good conference season.
And congrats to Piricelli on being named A10 Defensive Player of the Week. I'm not sure how I feel about our goalie being having to be named A10 Defensive Player of the Week, having to do that much work. Just the way the seasons have gone, the last 2, it's a little different,
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, maybe she's getting a little too much action.
Exactly.
We'd rather have her not facing so many shots. I mean, there were times in that Dayton game where defense looked a little vulnerable, and thought Dayton was going to get on the board there, but she's rock solid back there.
You mentioned Dayton being kind of the class of the A10 with St. Louis. The Billiken women have Duquesne coming in on 9:20, they will head to Pittsburgh to play Duquesne 9:23. That'll be Thursday night, 6 p.m. Duquesne comes in 2-4-1. Their biggest game is a 3-0 loss versus number 12, West Virginia University. And then they will welcome in LaSalle, who are 2-4-2, with a 5-0 loss at number 16 Rutgers and a 4-0 loss at number 10 Penn State. So it does get easier for the Billikens going forward. They've had a hell of a non-conference slate and an early A10 game, but it's a little relief coming.
These are probably more on the level of those Valley teams that we've seen the SLU women beat by a couple goals. I believe Indiana State and Illinois State were those two. So expect kind of similar levels of opponent to that. We highlight their losses there. They were all playing top 20 teams, which SLU is not this season, which people thought SLU might be. So who knows? Maybe this is the part of the schedule where they kind of find their stride and turn it back on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this A10 schedule and just seeing the Billikens, stretch their legs out against teams that aren't top 10 in the nation. Hopefully get healthy again and make a run come winter. Women's volleyball. Well, we got some feedback from what appeared to be one of the family members of I believe John Mattingly tweeted at us, concerned with us not looking at the stats for games. And look, I love volleyball. I love SLU volleyball. I love watching volleyball. I also have a hard time watching volleyball this season and last season, especially with, them being in most of their games, a team wearing masks. And again, masks are great. Wear a mask if that's what you feel, but like an elite athlete wearing a mask on one side and the other team not wearing them, that just blows my mind. I still think it's a bit of an unfair advantage, but anyway, when we look at these games, we really look at the result because we don't know enough to criticize the individual players. All we can do is look at the game and see how the game went and maybe how the game management wasn't there or was there. Am I off or am I on?
No, that's fair.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I'll tell you right now, the Billikens dropped the first game of the Bradley multi-team event to Northern Colorado 3-2. 25-14, 19-25, 25-15, 21-25, and 11-15. I say this and I go into these scores because what I think is happening is that you have a team where you have a one player team essentially on attack, and you come out and you stun that team, right? Now, if that team is good, they will respond and come back and beat you because they will not only respond and stop your one trick attack, they will by stopping your one trick attack, they will eventually outscore you. So you see the Billikens, they win the first game and then lose. You look at, other games during the year where they've won the first game or the first two games and then lose three in a row. It's not a good sign. But in this Northern Colorado game, we did see a little bit more spread out offense. Maya Taylor has 15, Jillian Mattingly 13, and Emily Hankin has 12 kills respectively. Blocks, Mattingly leads the team with 9. Sarah Daniels has 8 and Delaney Rice with 5. Carly Rogers, excellent on defense, 20 digs. It just, Northern Colorado just had more horses. I don't know what else to say about this volleyball team other than that they don't have the players. They have a great freshman in Mac Hill. They have a great leader in Maya Taylor, but Mac Hill's still not ready for primetime player. So yeah, we're going to have somebody following up Maya Taylor, but there's nobody to help her now. And that's what brings you the wins now. And I just feel bad for Maya Taylor.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I actually think that's a great analysis. I mean, you've found a very a good reason for this pattern that we're seeing play out over and over with this team. The thing I will add is that, they could, for someone like me who's a little more casual, a little bit, I don't know the game as well. We did see them kind of tweet out some stats not long after, our interaction. And they tweeted that Jillian Mattingly is at the time her hitting percentage was top 50 in the country, and then she goes on to make the all-tournament team at this Bradley event with Carly Rogers. So like when we get tweets like that, it does help. I don't know, give us a little more perspective. Maybe add a little bit of context to our narrative.
Yeah. I think I want to see more. I want them to get her and Mac Hill. If you can get Mac Hill, Jillian Mattingly in the middle, Mac Hill's an outside hitter, I believe. Jillian Mattingly's the middle blocker, and you have Maya Taylor on the other side, outside. I mean, that's a solid 3-headed attack that I think you have to ride as much as possible. But it's frustrating. Now, the Billikens did turn around and beat a 1-10 North Dakota team. They won 25-10, 25-22, 25-21. And then they finished the tournament with a very nice 5-set win. You battle through that adversity. We talked about that second set. The Billikens win this one in 5, 25-21, 23-25, 25-19, 19-25, and then 15-13. So, I mean, Bradley's not very good, but you're playing on the road in their arena, or, gym, and I don't know. It's not what I want to see from the program. Obviously I expect a little more. I expect you to beat a sub 500 team in 3 sets. I just don't think that's unreasonable.
No, not at all. And, like I said, I keep coming with the stats, women's volleyball, give us a little more flavor of what this team is and what they're doing. Cause really, we kind of see this 500 team, bouncing back and forth all year long. And every game we see that Maya Taylor had the most kills, and that's kind of what what we come away with. So, we'll stick with them and hope they have a little bit stronger showing in conference.
Yeah. One of the statistical anomalies in this game or this match was that Maya Taylor, not even in the top 3 for kills. She had a bit of a rough game in this one. Got 11 kills on 40 total attack or total attempts, with 7 errors. So, and she only had 11.5. She only scored 11.5 points. Emily Henkin had 20 points to lead the Bills. Jillian Mattingly behind again. Jillian Mattingly's hitting 417. I want to know why she's only getting 24 sets a game or 24 sets in a match. That's crazy to me. Like, I don't know volleyball that well. I know enough to be dangerous, but I know that when you have someone hitting 417, you might want to feed them a little more. Feed the beast,
Makes sense to me.
Moving on I want to throw in a quick note. Well, actually, we'll talk Billiken volleyball coming up September 24th, Friday. They will visit Davidson, and then Sunday they will take on VCU the 26th in Richmond. Tough game. That VCU game will be tough. Davidson not so good, but it's always Dayton VCU, some gravel and dirt, the Billikens, and then a lot of nastiness, and then the rest of the A10. So VCU is going to be a tough match, especially in Richmond. I want a quick note on baseball and softball. They've been playing. Baseball is playing tonight at Bush. They're playing St. Charles Community College in a spring game. Always interesting because you get these community colleges that have good players, because baseball's not really it's a team game, but it's not a team game when it comes to community colleges and trying to get to the majors. It's kind of there's so many individual statistics that you can kind of get really good players to weird destinations.
Yeah, the players get drafted out of anywhere. It's not uncommon at all to see community college players drafted high. So you never know. I don't know St. Charles Community College. I don't know what they're like this year or who they've got, but you never know when there's a true prospect on one of these teams that you run into.
Yeah, last time I checked, the Billikens were winning 6-0. So I don't think. I mean, it's spring competition. Good to get your feet wet. I believe softball played. They played Webster, I know, and then another school that I believe they're the Cobras, though. I do know that the mascot's the Cobras because I remember that from the tweet. Field hockey, one result to tell you about. They dropped their first A10 game to Richmond 4-0. Nothing we didn't really expect. Richmond won the league last year, so that'll be probably the toughest opponent they will match up with. A couple of opportunities for wins coming up for field hockey, though. This Friday at 5 p.m. at Sportport, they will play Lock Haven at 5 p.m. So a nice matinee game. I think that's what a matinee is. I don't really know. I made that up. And then on Sunday, they will take on Bellarmine, a team they beat last year. Lock Haven's 1-4, 0-1 in conference. They really haven't played anyone big. VCU, they lost 2-3-0. And then Bellarmine will come into town. And like I said, I believe the Billikens went either 2-0 or 1-1 against Bellarmine last year. So that will be, it looks like it's going to be like a multi-team event where Bellarmine, Lock Haven, and SLU all link up at Sportport. So.
Yeah, the Lock Haven is actually an A10 field hockey program, just in case anyone wasn't aware of that. They're the only non-A10, they're not in any other sport. Everybody else in field hockey, the 7 other schools are all names you would know. So just that note on Lock Haven, but they do seem like a winnable opponent there. Bellarmine, we've played them recently. I don't know a whole lot else, but I think that's another kind of even match. They just went D1 in most other sports, I believe, last year. They're in the Atlantic Sun Conference, I think it's called. So anyway, evenly matched in field hockey. And hopefully they can finally get that first one of the year here.
Yeah, it looks like Bellarmine is a member of the ASUN, the Southern Conference, and the MAC, as well as the Coastal Collegiate Sports Association. And
so they probably have a field hockey in one of those other ones. The ASUN is definitely where they are for basketball and the bulk of their other sports. So it might be more specialty stuff in the other conferences.
I believe they play in this Coastal Collegiate. They will play sprint football, which I have no idea what that is. Someone can clue us in on Twitter. Guys, that's pretty much all we have. Pete, did I forget anything before we go back over Homefield?
Not necessarily forget anything, but just a note that the swimming and diving season is coming up. If you're into that, starts really in the next week. I think they have a meet at WashU, or does WashU come to SLU? But I think that's their first non-intra squad meet, and then they'll head up to Butler in a week. I think this weekend. So keep an eye on swimming and diving too.
Yeah, I've been a big swimmer in the last 6 months, so I'll have to. And don't forget to vote for the women's soccer 25th anniversary team. Andrea Barklage is on it. Julia Bradenberg, Megan Burke. I'm just kind of names that I recognize. Kelly Ferguson, Hannah Friedrich is on it of more recent vintage. D. Gempel, Bree Halverson's on the list. Mo Hughes, Courtney Hulser, Sweeten. A lot of really good players on this list. So go over to SLUBillikens.com and vote for that anniversary team. And just another reminder, homefieldapparel.com. I mean, they're putting the effort, the level of effort that matches the level of Billiken athletics or Billiken sports passion that the fans have. So head over to Homefield Apparel. They're supporting us. Go support them for supporting us. 15% off your first purchase. Use the promo code Midtown Madness at homefieldapparel.com. Get yourself a super soft Billiken sweatshirt or t-shirt, and it will be your favorite Billiken shirt. I promise you.
And be sure to check us out at Midtown Mad Pod over the next couple of days. The Homefield is going to be, by the time you're listening to this, they're going to be sort of teasing out some of the designs, definitely trying to interact as much as they can with the SLU fan base. And we're going to be mixing it up there as well. So Twitter, our handle is Midtown Mad Pod.
Yes, definitely that. Thank you, Pete. I am so bad at plugging our social accounts. At Zach Miller MMP as well. I'm sure I'll be doing stuff from my personal, and at Peter is a tweeter, which is still the best Twitter handle in the state of Ohio. I can't speak for anywhere else, but I'm guessing Ohio, you have at least Ohio locked down. So
yeah, that's an easy win.
Homefieldapparel.com. Also at Homefield. I believe on Twitter is their handle. So it's going to be a lot of fun the next couple of days. Get over to their website, order all the shirts, use that 15% code, and show Homefield that we've been waiting a long ass time for this drop. So with that said, see you guys later. Go Bills.
Go Bills.